Hi, I'm Aaron Avila with GSL Company. Today I'd like to share some information on the research and development projects that we have going on as a company. Research and development is something that we've been doing for well over 15 years, and we've got a full-time staff of people that are focused on it on a day-to-day basis. We work with companies both large and small to bring both new chemistries and overall program approaches to market to better serve our grower customers. Today we're going to visit some of the many trials that we have going on throughout the valley just to give you an idea of what we have going on here in Central Washington. So here we're in a Golden Delicious orchard, and this is a phytotoxicity trial. When we're looking at new products, the first thing that we need to establish is whether or not they're safe. And safe is a couple of different things. Safe means, of course, that it's registered for use on that crop, and it's registered against the target pests that we plan on looking at it for. It also means, of course, that it doesn't hurt the crop itself, that it doesn't mark up the crop, that it's not phytotoxic to the crop. So what we do is we come into an orchard like this, and we apply at regular intervals, and then we come back and look on a weekly basis to make sure that we're not seeing any marking. We focus primarily on new leaf tips, and of course on fruit surface itself to make sure that these products are appropriate for use. This is a biostimulant trial. These are Sweetheart cherries. Really what we're trying to do with the biostimulant is we're trying to trigger some type of positive plant response. Biostimulants are different than fertilizers, being as though they don't necessarily have any nutrient value. They're typically made up of natural compounds or groups of compounds that have been identified, again, to trigger some type of positive response. Here we're looking at a foliar application to increase not only fruit size and quality, but to see if we can't gain a day or two on harvest timing. Oftentimes, in addition to all of these things that we're doing on fruit quality, it's still about timing in the market, and a day or two can make all the difference between really a fantastic year and a so-so year. So those are some of the things that we'll be measuring with this biostimulant trial, and we'll be looking at others throughout the day as well. So this is what's known as a grow-in program on these young Honeycrisp trees, and we really want to do just that. So this is a biostimulant trial that we have going on here, and we really want to we're trying to grow in these open spaces here. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be measuring this lateral shoot growth as it comes along the wire, and we're also going to be measuring this top growth to see if we can get an over and above response to the already top tier fertilizer program going on here. The other thing that we're going to be looking at is nutrient distribution within the tree itself. So in this case, we're going to be focused on calcium, being as calcium is something that Honeycrisp struggle with in general. And so we've applied calcium earlier, a few weeks ago, to the root system, and we're going to be measuring here on all of these shoot tips to see how effective we were in plant mobility. These are Pears, which is a cider variety of pears, and this is a bioinsecticide trial, so specifically biopesticide. So it's a certified organic product, so what we're looking at here that are naturally derived. Typically, naturally derived biopesticide products are less effective than their conventional counterparts, but it's an area of agriculture that we're very interested in and certainly always looking. So Pearsilla is the target pest here, and the psyllid itself excretes a goo, it's called honeydew, that when on the fruit it leaves black marking, splotching, or even streaking, which downgrades this fruit or even has the potential to take it out of the fresh market altogether and into a processor arena, which, as you can imagine, is financially damaging to the producer. This is a thinning trial in Gala apple, And by thinning, I mean fruit thinning. So we're trying to reduce the number of fruit that these trees are cropping. And you might think that more is always better when you're trying to raise a crop, but really it's a matter of quality versus quantity. And by reducing the number of fruit that are on these trees, what we're basically doing is we're creating a more uniform size apple, and we're creating a higher quality piece of fruit. And so what we're knocking off, we have a couple of opportunities to do that. We try that at bloom time, and in this trial we're trying that when the fruit's at about 12 to 15 millimeter. So we're knocking off some of that weaker fruit, leaving that stronger piece of fruit to provide a top quality marketable item. This is another grow-in program, this time on Honeycrisp Apple. So we are again going to be measuring the shoot growth as well as the top growth, but we're also going to be measuring the root mass and caliper size, the caliper size of the trunk itself. So as you can see here, this particular block is being grown in on a trellis system. So the trunk caliper itself becomes less important in regards to supporting the tree structure, because we've got the trellis system that's shouldering part of the load for that. However, in this particular trial, an increase in that trunk diameter or caliper would still be seen as a positive, and any increase that we can do in rooting in a young block like this is of course always going to be seen as a positive. This is a grow-in trial on Simcoe hops. This is a biostimulant trial. As you can see, these are just babies that were planted a couple of weeks ago, and they've just now beginning what's known as the race to the wire, or the 18-foot dash, which is the height of this yard that we're in now. And so the parameters that we'll be measuring in this trial is how, if we're able to have an effect on how long it takes this hop bind to get to the top wire here. And then we're also going to be measuring the overall cone production, which is of course is our favorite part of the plant, and then the quality of those cones. Also, fun fact, in case you didn't know, here in the Yakima Valley, we produce about 75% of the nation's hops, which is a lot of beer. This is one of my favorite places for trial work because it's got a couple of my favorite things here. We've got some blueberries and then envy apples, which are just fantastic. There, you can see them up there behind us. The trial here is in Draper blueberries, and this is an overall fruit quality and plant growth trial. This is a biostimulant trial where we've got the treated area, and then way down the other end of this field, we've got the grower standard, or the check, which I'll talk just a little bit more about later. This happens to be a blind trial, so we really don't know which is the treated area and which isn't, and which is untreated. But what we're going for here is shoot growth. So we've come through earlier and we've flagged out areas at bloom time where we're measuring this shoot growth here. We've also come through earlier and we've actually counted all of these berries within the replications, and we'll come through once more at harvest time to measure the quality parameters, which are going to be firmness, bricks, and weight. This trial here is known as a PGR trial, and PGR stands for Plant Growth Regulators. And that's a category that does just that. It regulates the plant in some way. In this one here, we're looking at shoot growth. These are second-year graft of Honeycrisp Apples, and we've got some different products that where we're trying to kind of rein in that growth. There's a couple of reasons, primary reasons that a grower would want to do that. One is light penetration. So fruit needs at least some light penetration for coloring. The availability of these types of tools in that scenario makes it a lot easier for a grower that may not have an available labor resource at that time of the year, or might be competing with the labor resource that they do have with other activities on the farm. The other reason that this can be a great tool in apple production is on fire blight susceptible varieties. And so fire blight is just a terrible bacterial disease that's a tree killer. And so fire blight loves a high vigor environment. And so anytime, again, that you can kind of rein in that growth, rein in some of the shoot growth, make that tree growth a little less vigorous, the less ideal of an environment it is for fire blight bacterial disease to take hold. This is a sunburn trial or sunburn prevention trial in Gala apples. So too much sun, too much heat has the same effect on apples as it does on anything else. It can result in burn. So here we're looking at several different fruit coatings to help prevent that. Some act as a mere physical barrier on top of the fruit to prevent light penetration. Others prevent moisture loss from within the tree and of course the fruit itself. And there's some that are clear that you may not even know are here that block UV light. So a sunburned piece of fruit at harvest time is pretty easy to pick out because it looks sunburned. And but that's not the only damage that can occur. There can be damage can occur even at this stage when the fruit's pretty young. There's some internal damage that can happen that's not visible to the eye. And why that's important is that can result or be an exacerbating part of the equation when we lose fruit quality in storage. And it can really almost precondition this fruit to make it more susceptible for some of the things that can pop up in storage or at packing. It's a really interesting line of work. There's a lot of work being done in the Southern Hemisphere and here in the state and along those lines. And we look forward to hopefully being able to come up with some predictive models moving forward in the fight against sunburn. Just so happens that this is a mating disruption emitter, and what this is this is just a passive pheromone, and it's emitting female codling moth pheromone. And I know that's not really what we're talking about today, but we'll use this as a little bit of a tease on an upcoming series that we're doing that's specific to codling moth, which is a primary pest in apples. Any type of rain event in cherries is a really stressful time for growers. Rain has the potential to just destroy a cherry crop. The way it does that is it actually splits the cherries themselves, and it can do that in different ways and for different reasons, but the end result is the same, which can equate to a total loss for the grower. So in this trial here, these are Cristalina cherries. As you can see, they're getting pretty close to harvest. We're trialing different cherry fruit coating trials that do just that. They help minimize or even eliminate some of that splitting damage. For more information on splitting, we actually have a video on our website that was put together by Garrett Bishop. Garrett runs our fruit quality services area of work, and that can be found on our website. This is another blueberry trial, obviously. This variety is last call blueberries, which, as the name implies, it's a later variety of blueberry. Actually, one of the last blueberries to be harvested here in our area. This is a quality trial, but really here, whereas we're looking at some of the other quality parameters as we were in the Draper trial that we shared with you earlier today, here we're going to be focused mostly in fruit firmness and also trying to decrease the amount of shrivel and drop. And shrivel and drop is just as it sounds. Not all fruit or flowers that are pollinized and little fruiting bodies like these make it to the end zone. A lot of them fall off at the 80-yard line, so to speak. And what we're trying to do is get as many pieces of fruit in the lug or in the pack at harvest that we can. This trial again is being measured against an untreated area, and it's a completely blind trial. We don't know which part of the field has been treated with our biostimulant program and which hasn't. And it's really important that when you are performing trials, whether it be this here blueberries or any of the other trials that we've shared here with you today, that you are measuring with something other than your eyes. And so really you want to have a standard that you're measuring against. Most commonly in our grower cooperative trials, we're looking at the grower standard, which is just that. It's the grower standard program that we're trying to improve upon. And some of the hardest trials are against the grower standard, because we have the good fortune of working with some very good growers that are running very good programs. So anything that we can show that's a benefit on top of a grower standard is great. You know, that's a 2 thumbs up from our perspective. But again, make sure if you're performing trials of your own, remember that if you're looking with your eyes, we can all be subjective with what we're looking at, and so they can be subjective at best or even skewed. So it's really important that you are measuring against something that's constant and consistent. I hope you've enjoyed learning about some of the many research and development trials that we have going on here across Central Washington. We look forward to sharing more about them with you during our GS Long continuing education events, which are hosted throughout the Pacific Northwest in the winter months. And also would like to invite you to visit our website or our Facebook page for more content like this. And of course, if you have any questions about this, please reach out to your GS Long Company representative. Hope to talk to you again soon. Until then, we will remain grower focused and service driven. Here we're at a phytotoxicity trial in Typically they can be easy to mark, and so it's an easy indicator of what products are safe or not. I don't know why I just totally changed all that, because that's not what I wanted to do.
Reset.
Biostimulants are just that. It's a stimulant, biologically derived stimulant. Okay. I hope you've enjoyed learning about some of these research and development trials that we have going on. I hope you've enjoyed learning about some of these. This is the one. I hope you've enjoyed learning about some of the many research and development projects that we have going on as a company. We really look forward to, God dang it.